Hello, so I'm Cam Race. I work at the Department for Education and I'm a statistician. And the main job that I've had for the last few years is all about publishing data transparently. So we produce all the official statistics on the education sector, and we want to make those as accessible and visible to as many people as possible so they can make their own judgment call for what is actually happening in the education sector and how effective government policy is. In the last couple of years, I've picked up leading the development of the shinyGovstyle package, which ChatGPT has decided is our secret weapon for implementing Shiny across government and being able to make production-ready government public services as analysts. Quickly, a shout out to Sarah Wong, who couldn't be here today, but she works at HMRC and has also been leading on this work. No clicker. Okay, we'll go old-fashioned. So go back to a few years, the pandemic, and data really boomed. So everyone wanted more data, they wanted it now, they wanted it more interactive. And very quickly we found that Shiny was our choice and a really good tool that we could use as analysts to produce dashboards and things to visualize data in sometimes even hours compared to the months it would take software development teams to set up and build full websites. But as we were producing loads of these tools and reacting to all these new demands, there was then a lot of pressure to publish them. Ministers would see them, say it's great, let's make it public. This then led to the next slide where statisticians, Shiny app in hand, going to our IT colleagues saying, can we please publish? And at this point, we found we were quite far outside of our comfort zone, and there's lots of red tape, lots of issues and barriers and things we had to learn to try and get past this and actually be able to publish public-facing dashboards. So we're not quite as cute as Puss in Boots, so let's try a different technique, and that's where we picked up the development of the shinyGovstyle package. So this was originally developed by Ross Wyatt in MOJ, but they'd archived it in 2021, so this was kind of mothballed, it wasn't being updated. So we picked it up a couple of years ago with the goal to make it easier for analysts to be able to publish production-ready apps using our Shiny. Along the way, there's been three main challenges I just want to talk a little bit about today. So one is trustworthiness. So one, getting our IT teams to trust and believe that we're credible and be able to publish these apps. But also when we publish them, how do the public trust that this is the official authoritative source for our data? Accessibility, so how do we make sure these apps are accessible for everyone who can use them? And last but not least, value, which is more introspective as package developers. How do we prioritize our time and choose what feature requests to respond to? So trustworthiness, the main thing here, I'm just going to illustrate it with these two sites. So if you're looking for cat facts, maybe you're researching for a quiz round or whatever, you might come across catfacts.org, or you might come across National Geographic. And which one of the two would you trust as the more reliable source? The lovely 90s do-it-yourself HTML styling, or the more sleek, familiar branding? And this is a key question as well for the public when they're looking at data and evidence and trying to make decisions based on that. There's so much out there, how do they know what they can and can't trust? And also, how can we get approval from IT to publish and use those .gov.uk domains if our websites look more like catfacts? And nothing wrong with catfacts, maybe a very reputable source, but it's a problem we face in government. And this is where we have the gov.uk design system. So all of you have used government services, main gov.uk website, you've renewed your passport. There's a whole set of services that are all completely isolated, built up separately, but they have one thing in common, which is this design system. It's incredibly well researched, there's loads of detail on there, and honestly it is fantastic. It tells you, you can see there when to use this, how it works, it tells you when not to use it, and it's got loads of stuff, but that wasn't available within our Shiny. So this is the power really of shinyGovstyle. It just takes this, they publish the static assets, so the CSS and JavaScript files, and it says, hey, we want some of that, port it into our Shiny, and then our package gives you the functions to make use of it. And that is done primarily from just these lines of code. These are the main magic behind the package. So all of our different components, like a drop-down one, the function will create the HTML layout, etc., put the labels on, but then what it does at the end is uses HTML tools to attach those style sheets as a dependency. And that's it. When you then use that function, it works. You have that, it looks how it should do, how we've designed it to. And the way that it can find all of that is this onload function. So whenever you do a library call, so library, shinyGovstyle, what that does, it just copies across all those assets into a place where the functions can read them as you're running your Shiny app. So this is our demo app, which we have linked from the package documentation. Shows all the different components we've made available in Shiny. And it's just a quick one to show without CSS and with CSS. So if it couldn't find that style sheet, that's what it would look like. But with it, you get the nice, clean, tidy layout. And that means then that you can build applications that genuinely look as real and are as real as any other gov.uk service. It has all the same markup, the HTML, the JavaScript behind the scenes. And you can do things like this. And genuinely, I can't remember which one is which. One is a site someone knocked up one evening in Shiny. The other is the actual civil service job site. So, yeah, and this is key because when we go to IT with a website that looks like this, they don't know that we're just analysts building things and don't look down their nose at us that we're not digital, we're not doing this properly. They actually then have a lot of trust and credibility in what we've produced. And for the general public as well, it's all very familiar. You've got the common patterns, common designs. It just makes it much easier to use because you don't have to think about how you're using it. It just feels natural. So accessibility. Since 2018, all public sector websites in the UK have to be accessible and follow the WCAG guidelines. So as our developers, we found we have to show that we can understand what it means to follow these and just be able to implement this. So a trap that we had a lot at the beginning was, it works for me, I've tested it, therefore it's going to work for everyone else, right? I'm a representative sample, and that's just wrong. We found that out quite quickly. So there's a tool here that's been developed by other people in the Department of Education. You can access it, you can QR code, and it basically, you put the number in of the rough number of users of the app, and it'll tell you roughly how many people from that group, on average, would fall into different criteria of needing to use your app in different ways. So people might need to use a screen reader, use voice activation technology, have like motor impairments. And I've got a few of the headlines from that now. So 3 out of 10 people will only ever use mobile to access the internet, so they won't touch a desktop. So for the talks earlier, talking about using mobile and Shiny, it's incredibly important because 3 out of 10 is a huge, huge number. The same again, on average, will have dexterity impairments, so affecting fine motor skills, hand-eye coordinations. And the last one is 8 out of 10, on average, will have some kind of visual impairment, which goes right from full blindness, low, poor vision, cataracts, all kinds of things. And that's 8 out of 10. So if you took this theatre, there's what, 170 odd seats. If we took all of this, probably up to the stairs and maybe a couple more, that's the size on average, which is a huge, huge number. So if you're publishing publicly, there's a good chance, you don't know all your users, there's a good chance they may need to access your app in a slightly different way. And even if you're just publishing an organization, 100, 1,000 people, you can see how quickly these numbers add up. Now, some of you might be sat there thinking, well, only 2 people use my app, Bill and Bob, so that doesn't really apply to me. But there we found that you're actually missing out. So I've got a quick question. I want everyone to put their hand up. Do you or have you used an electric toothbrush? So I can see a couple of shaking heads, but actually, there's a hell of a lot. So everyone now who's raised their hand, and you can put it down, you've benefited from accessibility and designed by accessibility. So the electric toothbrush wasn't designed for general mainstream use. It was invented in the 20s as an accessibility tool. And it was a big clunky thing, it had cables going to the wall, and it was purely for people who couldn't brush their teeth and they needed that assistance to be able to do it. Many years later, so I think the 60s, the first mainstream models started to happen. And now I think 2 in 3 adults across the UK, so we're higher actually in this room than on average in the UK, use an electric toothbrush. You can see why, because you can do more with less effort. And it's just a simple household item. But it's a really nice example how designing from the start with accessibility in mind and trying to make things easier for people actually just benefits absolutely everyone. So no matter how many people use your app, whether it's 2 or 2 million, think about accessibility first. It's a big lesson we've learned. So I've got a quick example of how just a simple little bit of styling can make a difference. So there's a very basic Shiny app here. And I just want you to see, can you see where the user is focusing? There's a very light grey shading. I can't, and this is a massive screen, I'm still quite close to it. So if you use with a keyboard now, you can't see which option you're actually focusing on. So when you select it, you could be lost. This is a very simple one. There's only 3 options. We imagine there's 33 or like 333. It's very easy to get lost, and it creates a little bit of friction when you're using your app. So with our package, we can pull in the standard styling from gov.uk, and if I play this now, you'll be able to see where the user is at any given time is very clear. And it's a tiny thing, but it just, again, reduces the friction, makes the apps easier to use, and it's hugely important. So I'm sure many people here won't jump to use the gov.uk branding. You'll have your own branding. I've linked the WebAIM contrast checker there if you want to go and check it. Just put 2 colors in, and it'll give you the contrast ratio. Generally, you want at least 3 to 1, sometimes higher if you're doing things like small text and whatnot. So next, I want to show you a bit of the experience of a screen reader user using the Shiny app. So it's a very simple Shiny app, and it's built as if it was someone's first Shiny app. So they're happy they've made it work, got a little bit of our knowledge, but they've not really thought about the design too much. So while you're listening to this, I want you to see if you can work out what this Shiny app is for.
127.0.0.1:4892, Google Chrome window. Navigation landmark tab selected homepage. Button table icon click here, button chart line icon click here, button masks theater icon click here. Graphic and image describing the website. Clickable notifications, F8, region list.
So I'm sure you all know exactly what the Shiny app is about. This is what it actually looks like. So a little bit jazzy, but you can tell there's a few things wrong. So firstly, there was no title set, so we just got the raw URL read out. Obviously, if it's a full URL, it might be slightly easier, but still, it's difficult. Navigation links, they all just said click here, so you had no sense of what options were available in the site. There's no top-level heading on the page to introduce it. And then the image, it had alt text, so this person, they thought, oh, I've made it accessible, I've added alt text, but all that alt text did was tell you that image has the information that you'd want, but not what that information is. So it just might as well not be in there. So now I've got an example of that same app, but converted to use the functions from shinyGovstyle and redesigned a little bit, and let's see the difference. Let's see, I've lost my cursor here. Let's just see if it enter will do it.
Mount Cars Explorer homepage document.
Straight away, sorry, there we go, I'm trying to watch it on there now. Straight away, there you got the title, you know what you're looking at. It's MT Cars, I thought in my head, but it reads it as Mount Cars, but you can tell, it's an Explorer about cars.
Mount Cars Explorer homepage document. Visited link skip to main content.
Again, this has jumped, so actually what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play you the whole thing, and we can go for it afterwards.
Mount Cars Explorer homepage document. Visited link skip to main content. Main landmark heading level 1 homepage. This website allows you to explore the cars dataset, comparing car models directly, finding statistics by car characteristics and plotting variables against each other. Contents list with 4 items. Compare characteristics. Visited link. Charts. Visited link. Tables. Visited link. Homepage. Visited link.
So this is that app there. We had the title, we had the skip to main content link, which meant straight away you could then skip down to understand what the site was about first. All of that was marked up correctly, so you had the heading, you had the text, it was all read out, and then you could reverse tab back into the contents list afterwards, and it told you straight away there's 4 links here. All the links had some text so you could understand what they were, and it just makes a big difference. And to us, even as a visual user looking at this, it's a little bit cleaner. You can kind of see what's happening. So there's a benefit here for everyone. Next screenshot. So this is from NVDA, Non-Visual Desktop Access, which is a screen reader I use for those demos. And I wanted to show this because this is the reason why, or one of the reasons why link text needs to be self-explanatory, and link text can be so important. Often it is viewed out of context like this. So a lot of assistive technology, the standard way of navigating a site and understanding the structure of it is to look at all the links. So if you think back to the first app where it's click here, click here, click here, imagine if this whole screen was click here. How would you know? You just wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to use the website or the app at all. So one of the things we've built in the package It's a very simple function, external link, and we've intentionally built it exactly like the standard anchor tag within Shiny and HTML. So as a developer, it's super easy to use. You use it in the same way. But behind the scenes, we've built a few things in. So our old friend click here is on my naughty list. I have a naughty list of about 30 or 40 terms that we export in the package. And if any of those are found in the link text, we just say no and give them an error and say, please be more descriptive. We also have a warning if the text you've put is less than 7 characters. A couple of reasons for this. One, again, it's probably not that descriptive. It's probably a single word. But also, if you use something just like R, it's a very tiny target to aim at, and for many users can actually be quite hard to click on. And now I've printed out the HTML string that the function chucks out. And you can see here the text with jumping rivers, but also automatically adds in, opens a new tab. So with our Shiny, most Shiny apps are single-page apps. So you go in, you'll interact, you make some selections. If you go away from that page and then try and go back to the URL, you've probably lost all the work you were doing and what you did. So generally, when we link to external sites, we want to open it in a new tab for that reason. However, that can be quite disorientating for users of all kinds. So we add in the warning by default. There might be times that you want to turn this off. So if you have a big list of links, instead you might want to just put a note at the top, these are all external sites, and turn it off. So what we do, if you do that, warning equals false, we still keep that in a custom screen reader only class so that screen readers still get that warning. So the warning is always there and you've got no way around it. And this is a very simple function. It's one of the smallest ones in the package, but it's a really nice example of how we've been able to use the package to pool our knowledge in one place and put in guardrails that mean that Shiny developers can just use this, not know or not necessarily remember everything, and they just get little nudges along the way to help them make apps accessible for everyone. Last one, quickly, is value. So how do we prioritize what to add and what not to? So something we haven't done, which is one of our most requested features, something I personally really want, is dark mode. But we've not done this because we're an app that pulls in from the bigger design system. So if we made our own custom dark mode, in a couple of years' time, gov.uk might release one, and then all our effort would have gone to waste. And it just duplicates, because we'd be solving the problem at the wrong level. So instead, what we've done, and shout out to Sarah Wong again, who's at the bottom, is being one of the many, this is a very small snapshot, there's a whole GitHub thread of people asking for dark mode on gov.uk. We've funneled that feedback to them, and at some point, that will be solved centrally, and all the packages and people who reuse that will get it for free. So it's one of our most things, but I'm very happy that we've not put time to that, because actually that could very easily be time that's wasted. Something we have decided to do, though, is custom table styling. So a very kind of thing that happens in almost every Shiny dashboard is you'll have interactive tables. You'll have something like this, you want to filter it, you want to reorder it, and that's not a thing that's common across other websites. You don't need this when you renew your passport or anything like that. So it's a very Shiny specific thing. And what we've done is then build a wrapper around Reactable that just gives some of the default styling as standard, which is that one on the right. And it just saves effort for Shiny developers. They don't have to think about this faff with the styling. They just know out the box, this is going to work. And that brings us to now. So thanks to shinyGovstyle, we have lots and lots of apps that are being used internally and externally across government. In education alone, we've got over 20 public-facing Shiny apps. And there's no more begging our IT colleagues to let us publish because they trust us now. So there's lots more to do. We're definitely not the experts in this. So have a look at the package there. If you want to use it, feel free, ask any questions. If you want just inspiration for your own things or how this could work. And equally, if you think we're not doing this right or we can do it better, tell us, because we're still learning as well. Thank you.